Hi everyone, my name is Isabella Susilowati. I'm an Excel and Power BI enthusiast with decades of business experience in the field of reporting, planning, and analysis. Teaching is a passion that I pursue in my spare time, and I publish a weekly YouTube video every Thursday about how you can use Excel and Power BI to make your life easier at work. In today's video, I'd like to share with you the most annoying Excel habit that many people often make without realizing it. To me, there is nothing more confusing than sitting in a meeting whereby someone is sharing an insight and outlining their working by scrolling through a large Excel spreadsheet where you can't see column heading or row headings. It made me feel lost. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, unless you want your audience to feel lost, confused, please do us a favor. Make the column heading and row heading visible at all times by using freeze panes.
Okay, let's look at some examples. So this is a gigantic spreadsheet with lots of columns and lots of rows. And see, when you're scrolling, you no longer can see the column header and the row header, which makes it really confusing for a user. So I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah. So a much better way is to freeze the pane so that the column header and row header are always visible. So let's say I want to freeze it in here so that anything above this cell and to the left of these cells are always frozen. So what you need to do is freeze panes, click freeze panes, and that's it. Yeah. So I have frozen the panes over here. Now, as I scroll down, my column header stays, and as I scroll to the right, my row header also stays, and it's just making it easier. So when I'm looking at this cell, I can say, okay, so that's the unit sold for customer number 12 for product 44. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, let's look at a different example. So in this instance, we have data with lots and lots of rows. Now, the column header are not frozen, which make it very confusing. What's that? I don't know what I'm looking at. Get confusing. So what we need to do is simply freeze the rows above row 4, so row 2 and 3. So highlight the cells where you want everything above it to be frozen, and then same thing, just hit freeze panes, and now it's frozen. And it's so much easier, isn't it? Now I know, okay, for manager 111, they have exceeded their sales budget. Okay, that's their profit versus budget. That's customer satisfaction for this period and for that period. It's just so much clearer. And let's go through one last example. So in this instance, we have not a fairly short list when you look at the number of rows, but plenty of columns. So, and when you scroll to the right, I don't know what that is. I only know it's something to do with 20 out of Feb, but I've got no idea for what cities is that for. So it would have been so much better if the first column is frozen. So what you can do is you can go freeze pane, freeze first column, and boom, it's the first column is frozen. So when you scroll to the right, the first column stays.
Right, last but not least, remember, because freeze panes is so easy to use, when you don't freeze your panes, it sends a signal to the audience, and here is the signal that it sent. Number 1, this person is novice in Excel, he doesn't know how to use freeze panes. Or number 2, this person is lazy, he can't be bothered to add a couple of clicks to freeze the panes. So I'd like to finish this video by asking you 2 questions. First, which signal have you been sending? Secondly, which signal do you want to send? See you next time.